Okay, so I have a couple of different roles.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try to keep this quick. So I'm the executive director of a foundation in the city of Newark, which is the Newark City Parks Foundation. We manage the five downtown parks in the city, which are the largest parks in the city, or I should say, the most visible parks in the city. I'm also an executive producer for iHeartRadio, where I'm a podcast producer. And I'm a DJ. I DJ pretty regularly. And I'm the music curator at the Newark Museum. And I'm the president of the board for the Newark Arts Council. And I also independently produce events and things.
Yeah. Let me take the simple ones. So you are the music curator
Mhm.
for the Newark Museum of Arts. That's it.
Correct.
So what is it?
So it was actually a role that they created for me because what was happening, the museum, of course, in an effort to bring people into the museum, they do a lot of events, they do a lot of programming. And they initially reached out to me to ask me advice. Oh, hey, we're looking for this type of artist, or we're trying to reach this type of audience. Can you make some suggestions? Can you connect us? Can find out if they're interested in working with us? And the Newark Museum is the largest museum in New Jersey, so they have a lot of things going on. And at some point, they just said to me, hey, you're doing all this work for us. And then I started doing other things. It wasn't like just curating for shows, it was curating for example, some of their online app. They have an online app. They did an app with a company called Bloomberg. They needed
Okay.
music for that, so they were doing different things that they needed music to accompany, and they kept asking me for my advice, and I would DJ there a lot. So
What is
eventually, just said, yeah.
so excuse me. What is curating?
So curating is when you are selecting, you're basically using your expertise to select, be very carefully select artists that
Okay.
are appropriate for whatever is going on.
So like there's an event, for example, there's gonna be a, let's say, a wine tasting at the museum, and you're gonna
Mhm.
choose not only the music that plays during like the playlist, or maybe
Right.
you're gonna choose the DJ, or maybe you're gonna choose the
Yes,
person that's gonna sing. That's
exactly.
your wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And it really did start out with me doing events with them. I already had worked with them a lot, but then when the pandemic happened, of course, everybody started doing things virtually. So I was like DJing, I did like a whole Forza series. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed into all this other stuff.
For those who don't know, what is Forza?
Forza. So Forza is my company. It's called Forza Media Group. The word Forza, if you're from a Portuguese speaking culture, you know that Força has many different meanings, and I think in the Cape Verdean context, it takes on an even different kind of feeling. But it essentially means strength, life force. Um, and for me, it's just something that we say to each other when you're saying goodbye or you want to send somebody a little extra energy. You say Força. So I've been saying peace, love, and Força for years. So it's just appropriate name for my company.
All right. Oops. Sorry,
You were zooming in. I was like,
I'm
ooh, we're
zooming.
getting
I'm zooming in. I'm
closer.
like, let me let's yeah. Actually, I want to try something, but I hope it's not gonna destroy this live. I heard that I can record all all the cameras individually, so that
Oh, wow.
when
Right.
I want
You
to
can,
repurpose the live, I can
yeah,
actually like take
edit
like
it.
your image by itself, and then I can make shorts and stuff with it. So I just turned it on just to see if it's gonna work. So like not only it saves you your whole show
Yeah.
as a file that always, so I can back it up, but then it saves your camera on one separate file and my camera on a separate file, and
Oh, cool.
it also saves the audio. separate
Mhm.
as well. So
Oh,
if you have an
great.
issue, let's say the sound of one of the guests is lower than everybody, you can recalibrate
Mhm.
everything, re-edit. So this is a very interesting.
Mm, I love that.
Urban Sweet Spot, what up? Hello, welcome, welcome home.
Mhm.
Matt Music, what up? So you are the curator for. So pardon my New York lack of knowledge. So you are part of the Newark
Mhm.
museum, but you
Mhm.
talked about New Jersey. So what's the, is it the
Mhm.
it's
So
these
Newark,
different cities, right?
well, so New Jersey is the state, and
Oh,
Newark
okay.
is a city in
Is
the
inside
state.
of New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, it's the
Okay,
state.
okay, okay.
It's the biggest city in the state of New Jersey, and it's
All
about
right.
15 minutes from New York City.
After listening to everything you say, I know that a friend of yours is the mayor.
Mhm.
It's actually used to be a rapper, right? Do it all.
He's a poet. Oh, dude, I was a councilman.
As a councilman,
Mhm.
listening to everything you're saying, I don't know why, because listen, you and I, we know each other so well. We've been through so much things together. I don't know why, but I feel like you might at a point go into New York politics.
You think so?
Listen, I don't know. Listen, when I was listening to you telling me all these things that you do for the city, I was like, wait a minute, like that's the trajectory. At a point, you take like a yeah. Listen, it just this. Wait. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
No, it makes sense, and you're not the first person to say that.
Okay.
So,
All
and,
right.
and the
Listen.
and the funny thing is that I got to tell you this. So a couple of years ago, incumbent council person for the neighborhood that I live in was retiring, and that neighborhood has a lot of Portuguese speakers. We have people from Cabo Verde, Angola, Portugal, Brazil, etc., etc., and there's also a lot of Spanish speakers there. So somebody was like, I really feel like you should run. The person who was the incumbent was Portuguese, and they were like, we need somebody who can speak both Spanish and Portuguese. You'd be perfect. And I was like, oh hell no, I'm not interested in, like, no, then you have no life. It's like your whole entire life you're living under a microscope. And the
Yeah.
work, I mean, I'm already busy, but the work never stops. So I was like, no, absolutely not. But then last night I was having a conversation with my son, and my son was
Look at
like,
that.
why wouldn't you do, like, why wouldn't you go, that seems like the next logical step.
And now your brother is telling. Listen. Listen. It's just logical because you're gonna arrive to those points where there's some roadblocks that you can only unlock if you have the power to be on the other side. And maybe you're
Mm,
not there yet, but for real, we never had that conversation. But when I was listening to you enumerating all the things you do for the city, I was
mhm,
like, okay, there's something here.
mm,
And sometimes we don't assume ourselves, we don't assume like the role we
mhm.
take and how
Yeah.
our everything we have on our back already for the city where we work for the people. It reminds me of me when people were like, okay, what's next? And I was like, in 90, I'm talking about 98,
Mhm.
97, 98. And it was like, okay, what's next? Everybody was behind me. I was like, you guys leave my back. Like, go do your thing. And it was like, no, we're waiting for you to tell us what's next. You're the leader. I was like, no, I'm nobody's leader. I ended up signing everybody to my label. So I can feel it. Okay, so let's continue. Julie said, Marcy, you have a bright personality.
Ah, thank you, Julie.
So, curation for the museum. Let me then now let's talk about what you do for the parks. So, are these the parks in Newark or New
Yeah.
Jersey?
No, the park's in Newark,
Okay.
just in
So
Newark. Mhm.
so what you do then for them?
So I do everything for them, really, from raise the money to program them and maintain them. I manage the staff. Well, it's basically a new organization. It just was created last year, so I'm the first
Okay.
executive director. So it's been like building a startup. I've had to build it from the ground up. So that meant everything from getting a lawyer and getting insurance and you know ha- finding staff and building out like systems and just really like building the business. So the business after that there's
What
that and
is
then mhm.
but what is the business of a park?
So it's a nonprofit organization. It's not a for-profit organization, and the primary business is making sure the parks are clean and well
Okay.
maintained, making sure they're safe, and making sure that they're programmed, that they have activities and activations that are going to be inclusive and welcoming to people and that will encourage people to interact with the space. And then we also do other things like advocate for public space and teach people about the importance of the environment.
I have a park in front of my house. I mean,
I
I have
know.
I have kilometers of park in front of my house, but
Just looking at me.
there's no there's no
Um,
huh? What's going on?
I have to plug in my computer. Hold on one second. Keep
Ah,
talking.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Are you hearing me? So now, what I'm saying is that I have some parks in front of my house. I have actually 5 kilometers of parks in front of my house, on the waterfront, on both sides of the neighborhood, but they are not, there's no activities in the parks. So my
Right.
question here is, when you say activities, nonprofit, etc.,
Hmm.
how big are those parks first, and what do you mean activities? Because
Hmm.
the parks in front of my house, other than cleaning them,
Hmm.
there's nothing other people chilling in the park. Like,
Really? Nothing.
yeah, no, here in, I mean, the ones in front of my neighborhood,
Really?
other than the fireworks and the New Year, there's absolutely nothing in the park. Maybe in the summer, like far away on the north side of the neighborhood, I think sometimes
Hmm.
there's some music stuff,
Hmm.
but no, the parks are just green spaces that people walk their dogs and have picnics and they chill with their kids and on the waterfront. But there's no animation, something. So when you say
Wow.
you are actually having a lawyer for the park, there's no lawyer for the park in front of the house. So
No, I'm
what?
sure that there is, but maybe you're not aware of it. I'm sure like Lisbon probably has a parks department. It's probably part of the
Mm,
city. And then they
okay,
do have, legal, they have insurance in case things are different in Europe. Here everybody wants to sue if something happens,
yeah,
um but what I will say is this is that we the goal is to encourage people to use the parks, to get out and actually like use the parks, to be outside in nature, to run, to walk, to so we have like hundreds of events in the summer, hundreds, from everything from boat tours, kayaking, because we have 5 different parks and one of them is on a riverfront, so we have access to the river. So we do kayaking, boat tours, we do fitness classes like yoga, Zumba, meditation classes, fit club. We do
wow,
concerts of all types, like all types of music. We do theatrical productions. We do big, huge, like dance parties, with DJs. And when I mean, I'm talking about thousands of people come out for those. We do educational things. And
wow,
then we're also like right now in the process of building a kids camp so that we can teach kids about the different types of like taking care of plants, taking care of, landscaping, that type of stuff, but not just that, teaching them the importance of the environment and how public spaces are really important, especially when you live in an urban area, because we have less trees. We have less trees in our environment. So that means something they call it a heat island is what happens when you have nothing but concrete. The temperature in your location will be higher than any other location because there's no nature to
yes,
absorb the sun. So
yeah,
that's detrimental for our health and also for the environment. So we teach children about sustainability and about, why they should be respectful of the space, that they should take care of the space, that they should feel like it's their space. So we do everything. And then we do other things that are not necessarily events, but we consider them programs, like large scale art projects. Or, like, for example, during the winter, we have ice skating. We have a huge ice skating rink with, vendors and food trucks and that type of thing, like shopping for the holidays. And then we light up all of the parks with holiday lights. Like, that's considered to be a program, lighting up the
Okay.
parks, or like putting up, like a mural or something like that.
The US is so litigious. Yeah, it is.
Very.
So yeah, like I mean the parks are beautiful in front of my neighborhood. But yeah, like I mean, I know there's one with there's a lot of koi fishes. There's a
Mm,
one that they're building some flowers. They are decoration. I know they are really well treated because it's a rich neighborhood and stuff. But there's no like a program of the park. I mean, I know that Parc das Nações has this little journal of all the things. There's a lot of art around and stuff, but and there's some art. There's open air art that is displayed on the new part of the neighborhood where actually I want to buy there on the south side, but it's not like what you're saying. Like, and I guess one of the reason as well is because in the center of my neighborhood we have the Altis Arena with 12,000 places where you have all the concerts take place there, and you have the shopping in the middle as well. So most of the activity, most of the activity, concerts, festivals, anything that is related, like even the bike tours, like the all that stuff happens in the middle of the neighborhood.
mm-hmm,
Both sides of the neighborhood are really residential. All the
mm-hmm,
restaurants are in the middle. Everything on both sides is residential. So I guess maybe this is the reason why they really keep it
mm-hmm,
like, yeah, it's really for like on Sundays, you're going to see all the families just there
mm,
walking, and people are doing their jog. Like, that's what I do on the waterfront, etc. But yeah, there's a lot of concerts, there's a lot of things going on, but in the middle.
mm-hmm. Not in the
That's,
parks. Oh,
yeah, no.
interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
that's.
I think it's a big deal here, because if you look at even New York City, you have Central Park, which is the largest park in the city. It's really one of the only major green spaces in New York. Like, there's other smaller parks, but there's no other park that you can, not in Manhattan, that you can like walk and then, like walk for, a mile and still be
Mhm.
in a park. And concerts are huge there. You have Central Park Summer Stage, which is their City Parks Foundation. They've been doing huge concerts for, I think it's like over 20 years now that they've had that program. And I think because, there's so little access to the outdoors in these cities, these events in the summer are a thing. It's a big thing. They have people look forward to it all year long because they're free. It's free concerts, it's outside. But what we found is that, you know, before COVID, this was always a thing. But since COVID, parks have taken on even more importance. I mean, I just attended a gala, and it was in the city, and the mayor of New York City was the keynote speaker, and he said something that was like so powerful. He said, during COVID, if it wasn't for my park, I don't think I would have made it, because his mom had passed away during COVID, and all this stuff was going on, and we were all like in our houses, but
Yeah,
every single day he would go to that park and he would sit there, and then he'd walk around or he'd exercise, and just felt like he was having some sort of human interaction. So there was that component, but then there was also the component of, once things started to open up, doing things outdoors felt safer than doing things indoors, because you were outside, you didn't have to worry so much about contracting COVID. So we greatly increased our programs during COVID because we knew that people wanted to get out. And so, it's like more than doubled the amount of events that we do.
that's super interesting. Hey, Vanessa, long
Hi.
time no see. Welcome back. Something that I've actually seen when we're talking about all these concrete jungles that are building so much concrete that there's less green.
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary not so long ago about, and they were talking actually about how in Singapore every meter square that you are building on, if you remove a green space, you have to rebuild it as part of your building. And
Yeah.
like if you, let's say you remove I don't know, 10 acres of land to build on top, you have to rebuild those 10 acres of green either on top of your building or inside. And I was watching a lot of images, and
Oh, wow.
look how they are like. So they really are building a city
Wow.
that has, yeah, like all these gardens uh like this.
Oh,
and
that's amazing.
and it is true, it makes the city less,
Mhm.
more green and less hot as well. And
Mhm.
a lot of these buildings, the access to the upper parts are free to everybody. You
Oh,
can
that's so
bike
cool.
there on and
Mm.
that's something that is super important for them. And I was, oh, I'm in the wrong place. That's not where I was. Yeah. So that's
Wow,
that's
that's amazing.
uh that's amazing. That, and I was really asking myself if, a lot of our cities would be able to create stuff like that, because a lot of these cities, they don't get it. They, like, wait, look, I was looking at this. Of course, this is they have some structures like this one.
Mhm. Mm.
This is amazing. And
Yeah,
did you
that
see
is
the
amazing.
airport?
No. Mm-mm.
You didn't see the airport?
No, I've
Oh,
never seen it.
wait. Oh my God. Like Singapore airport is like, it's, wait, I'm gonna show you inside. Let me go to CNN.
I'm like, what are you listening to in the background there? I'm like grooving over here.
That's their music. But look, oops. That's the airport.
Wow. 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 Oh, I have to go there.
And so you see it on the top.
Yeah.
So you have,
Yeah.
and this is water that you see going down.
Yeah. So they're capturing rainwater. We do a lot of
Look
that
at
same
this.
kind of stuff. Yeah, that's amazing. Wait, so are they capturing the rainwater or is it a fountain?
It's like a giant, I don't know if it's, look at this.
Wow. Oh my god, I wanna go there. That looks
And
incredible.
me too. Like, look at this.
Let's go.
Look
I'll
at
meet you at the
this. That's
airport.
that's
Yeah.
inside of the airport.
That's amazing.
So what? So you see those things you see behind the pink elephant,
Yeah.
that's to go to the planes.
Wow. Wow.
40
Yeah.
meter tall rain vortex. Look at this, and you have those little trains are taking you to between planes. Look at this.
Wow.
That's the
We better all
airport.
step up. That I mean, it looks like Wakanda. Like we need to all step it up. It doesn't
Yo,
even look like
listen.
it's real.
Look at this. That's inside
Wow.
of an airport.
Yeah. I think that's the wave of the future though. I think we're starting to catch on that the way that we've been treating our planet is not is not sustainable, and we're going to
Yeah.
ultimately end up suffering for it. So if we don't start to make these changes, what was it during COVID where, the time where people were not driving, so like within the first month they said that emissions were like greatly reduced just by us not having our normal traffic.
Yeah.
um
I've never seen the
so
water in front of my house so clear.
yeah, yeah,
That
we
was
need to get
crazy.
it together. Yeah,
Even
we need to get it
the air was like,
together.
I was like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
So let me go back to my list. Because, yo, so for the city of Newark, so we said curating the museum
Yep.
and curating, I mean, being the head of the parks.
Right.
So that's already a lot of time to do
Yes.
these two, right? I guess the parks is more in the summer, I guess, or you also do
It
stuff in the winter.
Yeah, in the winter, I'm focused on fundraising and,
Okay.
planning. I mean, we have like well, we're also like in the process of renovating some of the parks. So, have to raise money. So
Yeah,
it's millions of dollars every year that we have to raise. So it never really stops. But it's way busier in the summer.
of course. So producer for iArt.
Yes.
So what does it mean? Like, what do you do as a producer for iHeart? What is the job?
So the job is that I like oversee production. So I started out when I first started with them, I was doing audio engineering, editing, and also doing the editorial production for podcasts. And generally, what happens is, iHeart will assign me to a show that's either new and coming up. I'll help with the shaping of it, the format, what makes sense in terms of the overall, goal of the show, right? What the show is about, like coming up with the name, all that stuff. So when I first started, I was doing like everything. I would do from the beginning to the end. But I've been with them for a while now, and now I'm an executive producer. When I first started out, I was a producer editor. Now I'm an executive producer. So it's a little bit more high level where I'm overseeing the whole production. So I'll
You
have an
overseeing
edit.
the you
Yeah, I
overseeing the
have an
people who are
editor.
doing what you
Right,
okay.
what I used to do. So and then sometimes I'll step in and like edit or engineer a session or something like that. But like, we have writers, I have editors that I work with, and hosts of
Thank you.
shows. So
So wait
yeah.
a minute. How many shows do you work for?
Right now I have Angie Martinez IRL,
Oh
working on
yeah, you work
yeah,
on that
yeah,
one?
yeah.
Wow. Oh my
And they were
God.
just nominated for an NAACP Image Award. So I know, for outstanding podcast. So I'm really, really happy for her, especially because she's been
Yeah.
able to land some phenomenal interviews. I mean, the interview she had with Lauren London, which started it off, was except I'm getting goosebumps because that was just an exceptional interview, and it's just got better and better, and to the point
There
that
was one.
yeah, Kim Kardashian. I mean, that was huge.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Of course, especially after we're gonna
Right.
talk about.
Are we gonna talk about Kanye?
Hey, of course we're gonna talk about Kanye. Wow. So that's yeah, that's super interesting. So when
Yeah.
there's a show, yeah,
Mhm.
everybody give me some rainbows to congratulate her
Yay,
on
thank
on this,
you.
because uh so like you have like what 20 podcasts, 10 podcasts, like you are
Well,
executive producing, like
right
how
right
does
now
it
I
work?
have right now I have 3 shows that I'm well, 4 shows that I'm working on. So it's Angie Martinez IRL, and then Angela Yee's Lip Service, which is
Ah,
Angela
yeah,
Yee was former host of Breakfast Club. She just left the Breakfast Club, and that show is about it's really interesting. It's all about sex. So it's like
yeah.
about, it's like, yeah, I'm sure you know about it, right? So there's that
Nope.
show. Yeah, it's good. It's a good show. And
I've
then
I've I've seen some clips.
yeah, yeah, some of it's really funny. So same thing for that show. I just provide like the high level stuff. And then I worked on another show where I was actually doing more like music licensing for them, which is called City of the Rails. And it's about people who are basically modern day hobos. They live this is in the United States. They live by jumping onto freight trains and traveling. Like that's how they survive. Like they don't live in houses. They live a very minimalistic lifestyle. So that show was very interesting. And then I had produced the San Diego Zoo podcast, which is also very interesting. And now I'm working on my own show that I'm producing and hosting. So I'm excited about that.
Maybe I'll be invited finally somewhere.
Yes. Oh, you've been on my show plenty of times. It was so funny that the other day memory came up of you being on my show when I had my show on Nork.fm, my Forza show. And I haven't done interviews in forever now because now my show's at Rise Radio, which is in Brooklyn. And it's a different kind of format. Like it's an actual venue. It's not like just in a studio. It's a restaurant. So I haven't done
Oh
any
wow, nice.
interviews. I just mainly play music, right? I haven't done the interviews. It's just a little bit different. Um, but it was funny that it came up as a memory of you being on my show. And then I had
I
another memory
remember.
of me like wishing you happy birthday on air.
I would love to do a club Shada in a restaurant, like one
Let's
episode, like live
go.
with a bunch of people and like a crowd, and just having interaction with the public and be live on YouTube at the same time. That would be
That'd be
amazing.
so
Uh, so that's the iHeart part, and now you're gonna have your own show when you're gonna be also like, are you? It's gonna be like what, weekly, monthly?
No, it's a narrative show, so it's what they call an iHeart original show, so it's more of a narrative show. It's a story that's gonna be encapsulated into 6 it's
In
only 6 episodes, right? So in 6 episodes, I'm,
like
uh
you're telling the story of something or somebody, something like that.
yeah, yeah, so it's a
Oh,
story about one of my ancestors,
oh,
and
amazing.
it's me telling his incredible life story, but then at the
Ah,
same
yeah, you
time
told me about this. You told me about him. Yeah.
yeah, Sweet Daddy Grace, he was a preacher who came from Cape Verde. He immigrated in the like late 1800s, and um, he ended up becoming one of the richest black men in America. And he was highly controversial, and most people, a lot of Cape Verdeans especially, didn't want anything to do with him because he was really different. And so the story is it's both about me telling his story and trying to unpack and understand why nobody's ever told his story before, but then also understanding, are we really related or not? Because
Hmm.
everybody, people say we are related, but then when I directly ask family members, they say no, we're not. So I'm just trying to
So why
figure
is
it out.
everybody like scared of him? Or it's like scared of? I mean,
Well,
we'll
look
see.
up a
I'm gonna
picture.
let the show.
Yeah,
I'll
let the
listen to
show.
the show.
Yes, yes, yes. He's a
Yeah, Urban
character.
sounds nice. Wow.
Thanks. Yeah, he's a
What's his
character.
name?
Sweet Daddy Grace.
Sweet Daddy Grace. Let me see
Mhm.
what. Marcelino Manuel de Grasa.
That's him.
Oh wow. Preacher to lead them all. Why he had a sect or something?
Yeah, people say it was a cult. It's he started this United House of Prayer. It was really the reason why. I will say this is one of the reasons why people were
Three
really turned
million
off.
people.
Right, people were really turned off because he was not shy about showing off his money. Look at his nails, 3 inches long. He wore,
Oh,
really expensive suits.
whoa.
He had like a fleet of luxury vehicles. He had mansions everywhere. And some of the buildings that he owned were like iconic. Oh, you have to send me that link. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Let me send it to you.
It's interesting how like searches come up differently when you're in a different country.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he was, like I said, he was always in the papers. He was really controversial. But I think primarily because he had so much money and people felt like he was using the people in his congregation to get himself rich. And I don't think I personally think he was a visionary. I personally think I'm the podcast isn't necessarily about judging him. It's more so trying to understand how he accomplish all of that during like Jim Crow. during the depression. He died in
Oh,
1960. He had a Jewish lawyer and a Jewish real estate agent who would purchase property for him because they would not sell to him because he was black. So, this
wow.
is somebody who managed to do exceptional things in a time where it was very difficult to move outside of your small environment.
Wow. That's interesting. I can't wait
Yeah.
to listen to this while I'm running.
I can't wait for you to listen to it. I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds like something great. Clarinia, ha. Hi.
Hi.
All right. So that was number what, number job number 3 or 4?
3.
That's 3. What's left?
Well, I mean, I am the president of the board for the Newark Arts Council. The Newark Arts Council is the organization here in town that supports artists, that helps to provide opportunities, and also bridges the gap between corporations or institutions who are looking for artists or looking to have art in their institution. So I serve on the board there, which does, it is, I do I do my primary goal there is really to advocate for the artist, and just to help with, so that's also like a lot of high level stuff, just making sure that the budget is in check and making sure that everything is, you know, the way that it's supposed to be. So there's that. And then what else?
Wait. Sorry, like that's a lot of things for one person. And what
you
else?
know, DJing.